from Cleveland's most accurate weather team. This is 19 First Alert Plus, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
And good morning, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now. We are in the midst of a first alert weather day. A first alert weather day has been issued by our weather department. We're going to bring in Kelly Dobeck on our 19 First Alert weather team. Kelly, we've got this in place. We've seen, boy, what an interesting morning it's been. There was some heavy snow. It's now all rain. When we look at the shoreway coming in from the west, it's just going to be a nasty, rainy kind of day. But now we need to watch out for the winds. Walk us through what we should look for.
Yeah, that's really the next big part of the alert day, Dan. Rest of the day, biggest concern is going to be the winds causing impacts, and we're talking power outages. We've already seen some reports through portions of Ohio City, Geauga County. Sporadic power outages will probably become more common here as we head through the afternoon for two reasons. One, the winds are going to continue to pick up. I'll show you our latest wind gusts here in a second in that wind gust tracker. But two, the rain's coming down. Most of us are going to pick up around an inch of rain or so that means the ground is going to get very soggy. So when we do get those bigger wind gusts, say 40, 50 miles an hour, won't take much for a tree to topple over or power line or debris to fall and somehow mess with some of those spotty power outages. So that's going to be the big concern this afternoon. Let's get through radar and then we'll get right to wind gusts here because it was a crazy morning. We had this big burst of snow come through, which we were alerting you to. The problem with the snow that came down was it was coming down so fast that even with pre-treatment and plows out, it did accumulate on the roads there briefly before that changeover happened. So it caused a lot of issues, some slush, some slick spots this morning. But now, as you mentioned, and like the radar is showing, it's finally caught up that we are seeing all rain, and this is going to be the trend through the afternoon because temperatures are going to be right around 40 degrees. Now, let's get to the latest wind gust map here, and focusing on the lakeshore especially first because that's where we have the better probability of winds being a little bit higher. That's because of the system that's sliding by. It's an area of low pressure. You get all the moisture and the air swirling around, right? And when we show you the radar, the big picture, you see kind of the swirl of the moisture. Well, the same goes with the winds, and sometimes when those winds mix farther down to the surface based on where they're at in Lake Erie, based on where that system is at, oriented to Lake Erie, it brings the stronger wind gusts closer to the lakeshore, and that's what we're seeing right now. Burke Lakefront Airport reporting wind gusts over 40 miles an hour, close to 40 in Ashtabula, a gust over 30 in Menor, Sandusky, and Lorain are down 20-mile-an-hour gusts, but still very, very windy out there, and kind of goes along with our wind advisory that's in effect for areas of Cuyahoga County and east, the snow belt. That's where we're seeing those gusts over 40 right now. But I showed you, even Sandusky, Lorain, they're still seeing 30-mile-an-hour gusts. So it's still very windy everywhere. The rain is falling everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw spotty power outages outside of this area that's highlighted in brown. And notice, too, I even labeled the small craft advisory over Lake Erie. With the rain and the wind, waves are going to be very, very big. I'm going to be extra concerned for tomorrow for Lake Erie, too, because right now we've got southeast winds. Tomorrow we'll have more westerly winds, and that could mess with the water levels a little bit. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that for tomorrow. But let's talk more about those winds. I'll walk you through how strong they're going to get through today and through tomorrow, hour by hour on our wind gust tracker. So notice where the timestamp is in the top left of your screen here. This is 11 a.m. Look at where the winds are the strongest, right, where we saw that wind advisory, right? So gusts over 50 in Ashtabula, Menor, and just to give you some perspective here, a severe thunderstorm warning will be issued for a thunderstorm if it's got wind gusts over 58 miles an hour. So we're getting real close to seeing severe thunderstorm like wind gust as we head through the afternoon, which can cause damage. So we're going to be watching that through the afternoon hours. They get stronger. Lunchtime, look, over 50 in Ashtabula, closer to 58, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Menor. Again, closer to the lakeshore, that's where the winds will be the strongest. But notice even down towards Warren and Akron, Canton, we're still seeing gusts close to 40. Now they will peak this afternoon. They will be the strongest through this afternoon. Then this evening, think after dinner time, they'll calm down a bit. It'll still be breezy. You still may hear the wind roaring as you head off to bed tonight, but they will pick back up again tomorrow. So notice 7 a.m. tomorrow, we're seeing those gusts again close to 40. I wouldn't be surprised if the Weather Service expands that wind advisory for tomorrow. I think they're just breaking things down into pieces and parts so they're not throwing a bunch of information at you at once, because it's a lot. There's a lot going on the next couple of days here and even into the weekend. But just breaking down wind gust tracker for you, biggest impact, biggest takeaway from the winds are what you need to know here is that this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon, those winds will be the strongest, Dan.
Yeah, I've been watching the power outages just from my desk, and it's 7:45. There were, 700 to 800. The last time I checked, about 9 o'clock, we were reaching 10,000 without power. It's going to be that kind of day. So make sure your phone is being charged. You have all your devices charged so that you can stay in contact with family and friends during this first alert weather day tomorrow as well. We're going to take that 15-second pause and be back to look at yet another storm system coming through this weekend.
I've represented families just like yours for over 4 decades. Listen, if you need me, call me. You know I'll be there for you, and I'll make them pay. In the meantime, I'll keep an eye out for you.
And as we look at the 7-day, Kelly, I see that we have another alert day. You folks in the weather department have decided to deem Saturday also an alert day. Get us through the rest of the week and into the weekend.
Yeah, for those folks who have been wondering where winter is at, that's going to be our first real taste of. I've been saying instead of, we've had some snow, but this is going to be like the snow, if you know what I'm saying, heading into Saturday. But before we get there, today and tomorrow, again, wind going to be your biggest concern. We will have some winter mix around again tomorrow morning for the drive. So just something to keep in mind for the morning commute for the kiddos going to the bus stop. Could be very similar to what we were dealing with this morning. And then we keep the chance for winter mix around Thursday and Friday. Overall, fairly low impact stuff. It'll be pretty light, but then Friday into Saturday, that's when our next storm system comes in. And this is going to be one that has a big punch of Arctic air behind it, which means 1, there's more moisture around to support snow. 2, we'll have gustier winds and snow, which could lead to near whiteout conditions once in a while. And then 3, because we've got Arctic air coming in over Lake Erie that doesn't really have any ice on it, lake effect snow will set up for your Sunday. So a lot of moving pieces and parts to this next system too, but want to give you that first alert, that heads up for the weekend, because I know a lot of folks have plans. Whether you're doing, just plan ahead and be sure, especially Saturday, if you've got to travel, you may run into some tricky spots out there. And then in the snow belt on Sunday. And I want to go back to the 7-day forecast here to end on this note, because look at the low temperature Monday night. I said real taste of winter, real taste of Arctic air for the first time this season. We're definitely going to be feeling that as we head into early next week.
Yeah, just that 7-day is just a mess when we look at that.
Truly.
I can think back to nicer times, maybe even in late November, where we had an
Right.
entire week. There wasn't a single icon, but maybe
Nope.
clouds and sun.
Everyone, be like, oh, where's winter? We found it, and it's coming all at once.
Yeah. In like a flurry, that's for sure. 19 First Alert, Kelly Dobeck. Kelly, talk to us about, we just launched a brand new program here at Cleveland 19. Talk to us about First Alert Focus.
Yeah, and I think there couldn't have been a better week to launch this show. So First Alert Focus is 30 minutes all weather. The entire 19 First Alert weather team all partakes in it one way or another. We find a way to make sure we're all getting you the knowledge you need to know and break down the weather. I mean, with this Facebook Live, I think we just took like 10 minutes. It takes a long time when you've got a lot of stuff going on. In a normal newscast, we get 3 at the most. So really taking an in-depth look at what the weather situation is, especially on 19 First Alert weather days. We can break down the exact timing of not just the rain or the snow, but the wind and our next system. We give you everything you need to know, especially if the weather's going to impact you. This show is going to be a really great tool for you every night at 7:30 on the CW, just to let you know what's happening in the weather and really the why behind it too.
It's really incredible work by our entire weather team. It is the first and only dedicated weather program Cleveland has ever seen. And in a market like Cleveland, where we have lake effect snow, where we get severe weather in the spring and the summer, what a great tool to have. 7:30 every night, Monday through Friday on CW 43. Kelly is a part of it. Kelly, I know, and some people call you guys nerds. I think that is terrible, but you just love the weather. You and Jeff and Jason and Samantha, you love the weather so much. You study it, you watch it, you've got the data, and you've got us covered. So we certainly appreciate it.
Big time. Just to give you a little teaser too, I am working on a story this week about the Alaska Airlines plane. You know how the door, whole thing ripped off, but a phone fell out and it made its way to the ground safely. We're going to get deep dive into that. I'm going to let you know why that happened and how the weather kind of helped with that too. Physics.
There you go. Physics, physics and weather. It's all science, and it's all great to me. That's for sure. 19 First Alert meteorologist Kelly Dobeck. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, take care. Again, this is going to be a really active weather pattern this week. The reason they issue those First Alert weather days is because this is something that's going to have an impact on your daily life. They don't just do this because they're looking at other things. They do this because this is something that could have an impact on your life. Here is I-480 out in the Independence area. It is going to be a slow go and a windy day. You can see the trees shaking there, and we haven't even gotten to the worst of the wind yet. If we have any other breaking news, it'll be here on our digital properties. Otherwise, make sure you catch us at 11 o'clock on CW43 and then our noon news on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media at Cleveland 19 News.